You've been hiding in the shadows way too long. You always thought that you were weak, but babe, you're wrong. Yeah, you better step into the light, just give it a try. Think that it's time you let that spark out. You've been hiding in the shadows way too long. And who cares if you might mess it up? You're stronger than the others think. And who cares if you might mess it up? Go ahead and shine, darling. Go ahead and shine, my dear. 'Cause who cares if you might mess it up? Just shine. You shouldn't doubt yourself, 'cause you're a work of art. You should know that you are perfect with those flaws. Yeah, you better step into the light, just give it a try. Know that it's time you let that spark out. You've been hiding in the shadows way too long. And who cares if you might mess it up? You're stronger than the others think. And who cares if you might mess it up? Go ahead and shine, darling.
Yes, good day everyone, and welcome to Crafty Nights, a special episode dedicated to all the talented crafters and artists out there who aspire to be content creators. In this episode, we have a fantastic guest, our in-house tech go-to hero, Victor from Basicnas, Basic Networks and Streaming. So joining us to explore the crucial question, what computer should you get? Right? So, whether you're a creative mom venturing into the world of content creation or an artist looking to enhance your online presence, choosing the right computer is essential. Victor, an expert in networking and streaming, will be our guide as we delve into the key factors to consider when making this important decision. So join us as we navigate the world of live streaming and video creation. We'll discuss the unique challenges and opportunities that crafters and artists face when becoming content creators. Victor will share his expertise and insights, helping you understand and the specific requirements for live streaming and video editing in the crafting and artistic realms. So during this episode, we'll explore hardware specifications such as processors, RAM, graphic cards, I don't know, that play a vital role in ensuring a seamless content creation experience. Victor will provide valuable recommendations on finding the perfect balance between performance and budget, so enabling us to make an informed choice. So whether your dream of sharing your crafting tutorials with a live audience or creating beautifully edited videos to showcase your artwork, this episode of Crafty Nights will equip you with the knowledge and confidence to select the ideal computer for your content creation journey. So tune in to this Crafty Nights with our special guest Victor from Basicnas, again Basic Networks and Streaming, and embark on this exciting adventure. Of course, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to stay updated with our latest episodes packed with inspiration, expert advice, and everything you need to become a successful content creator. And without further ado, let's welcome back to the Crafty Nights, Victor. Hi, Victor.
Hello, hello, hello. And Uh, yeah, you need to do my next resume because you hyped me up very well.
That's very true. Everything I said there's true, Victor.
Oh, I don't use I wouldn't use the term like expert. I'm a general practitioner. It's like going to the
Uh,
doctor and he's like the
for
family
for
doctor,
our
and then you got the
purposes,
specialist.
yeah, for our
I'm an
purposes,
expert.
Victor, you are an expert. All right. So, okay, let's first say hi to, okay, Sammy. Hi, Sammy. Good evening, everyone. Can't believe it's the weekend. And may magbe-birthday po ba? She's asking, is there somebody having a birthday? Ang daming balloons. There's so many balloons because of the
One more
entrance.
month. What maybe the next show we do, since we do one every month, will
Mhm.
fall on my birthday. I'll have to see because my birthday is next month.
Okay, so it's Victor's birthday. Let's see if we will have something special for the month of July because it's okay, Victor's birthday. Okay, so guys, if
Well,
you are
it's
coming
July.
in,
Yeah, it's
yeah,
July
it's
now
already
for
July
me. So
1.
August.
Okay, so August. Sorry, August. Yes, it's already July. Okay, August. Okay, so guys, if you are coming in on replay or are actually live right now or later on, please don't forget to put a Q colon if you have a question. And at any point, put them in the chat and we will try to ask Victor. So, the first question, are you ready, Victor? It's very
Yes.
hard. So first, when do we need a computer? Do we really need a computer if you want to become a content creator, Victor?
The simple answer is no. You don't need a computer. That's the simple answer.
Mm-hmm.
The more complex answer is, and no one loves it, it depends.
Oh, okay. So when do we actually, as content creators and crafters, creatives, finally we need to have a computer, or we need, or is it becomes a must, or it becomes a need? When?
I want to say when you want to make it a little bit more entertaining, a little more complex, like what you're doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
Let's be honest, you can't do this on a phone. Everyone says start now, start with your phone. All you need is your phone. And that's why I say you don't need a computer, because you could stream with a phone. But as soon as you add more to it, like your show where you want to bring in guests, you want to have multiple cameras, you want to have overlays and graphics and stuff like that, you're not going to do that probably at all or very easily with something like a phone or a tablet or something like that. You need a computer if you're going to be like stepping it up, making more out of your production.
Okay. So now that we finally say, okay, I think it's time. I've been live streaming, I've been doing content simply on my phone. Okay, now I think I want to level up. And so I will go to the computer store. And then I see all of these computers, all of these brands, all of these specifications. So, what are the minimum computer specifications, Victor, recommended for beginners, okay, who want to start just live streaming or creating, basic videos for their content?
Okay, so if you're going to buy a brand new computer now,
Mm-hmm.
that's the key word. You're going to buy a brand new computer now. If you're a Mac user, very simple. Basic, really like basic, just get you going with some decent and even advanced streaming. M1, M2, not an Air. I'm going to say that forever, not a MacBook Air. But if you're a Mac user, as long as you get an M1 or M2, that's as basic as I can make it for Mac people. You're going to be good. Doesn't have to be, a lot of RAM, a lot of this, a lot of this. The base model will get you going and it will last you a while.
Okay.
If
So
you're a
when you
Windows user, that's a
say
different story.
Okay, so when you say basic, Victor, as in my case, I really don't know anything. So it's like, so when I go to the store, I tell them I want a basic let's say if it's a Mac, I want a basic
Base.
MacBook Pro.
Base. Base.
Oh,
Base.
base,
Not
not basic.
basic. Base. Yeah.
Base. All right. So again.
Think of it like you're shopping for a car. There's the cheap model that is like this is it. You're not getting no special features. So that's the base model car. But
Mhm.
then you get the SE model or the this model. Now you got power seats, power windows, power this, power that. A base model basically means this is the lowest model that we offer. But if you want more, let's say you want more storage, they add that. You want more RAM, they add that. They have
Mhm.
to add those, and then the price goes up and up. So for Mac users, the base model, and I know some people are going to argue, no, you need more RAM, you need more storage, you need more. No, you don't. I use a
Mm.
base model. Lala uses a base model,
Yes.
M1. Mac, it's easy. M1, M2. If it is Intel, do not buy it. At this day and age, at this stage of the game,
Mhm.
I don't care if they say I'll give it to you for $100. If it's an Intel Mac, do not spend your money on that thing. Mac
Mm.
M1, M2 base model just to get things started.
Okay. Why? Why it's like somebody would sell me, the Intel version of a Mac of very cheap for cheap. I will not. Why?
Well, here's the thing with the Intel version of MacBooks for streaming, especially now. I'm not talking 5 years or 10 years ago. I'm talking about now.
Mhm.
You would need a high-end Mac. That's an Intel to do what you're doing right now with a base model M1. Same thing with Windows computers. There's a lot of users out there that are like, well, I have a Windows computer. I want to use OBS. I want to do this. I want to do this. If you're a Windows user, you're not going to get away with that low-end base model Windows computer. It's not going to stream, especially with software. You need a
Mm.
high-end
Okay.
Windows
Okay.
computer. But what does Windows use? Intel processors, Intel or AMD, but still that it's similar with the Mac. So if you're going with a Mac that's a couple more than 2-3 years old and it's an Intel processor, you're going to have a higher end processor, 2 to 3 times more RAM. Right now, me and you use 8 gigs of RAM. That's the base model. You get
Yes.
an Intel, I won't go for less than 32. You see the big difference in that number? 8
Okay.
gigs of RAM on an
Okay.
M1, M2, compared to 32 gigs of RAM on an i7 Intel MacBook.
Okay, I got it. I got it. So, efficiency and probably eventually, you need to probably upgrade, right? To be able to come or to be able to adapt to the changes in the different apps that you will probably need or be using. So, okay, that's why Victor is suggesting that we buy at least the base, not the basic, the base model of this is for the Mac. How about for those who are
Mac.
into PC
If you're into Windows,
or Windows?
and
Yes.
if you leave it on this for a second, Lala, I'm gonna see if I can bring up my my little diagram thing here real quick. Give me a second.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow, it's not moving.
Oh, it's that? Okay.
Yeah, no. So I'll just talk about it.
Okay.
It seems like we're having some technical difficulties. As far as Windows computers, I'm gonna recommend nothing less than an i7. That's
Okay.
the specification of the processor. You got, all these low end, low cost ones, and then you go into i3, then i5, then i7. There are some that are even i9. i9 is taking it a little far. i7 as a minimum, 32 gigs of RAM as a minimum. And for your
I-9 32.
storage, you're going to want it to provide NVMe solid state drives. And I'm
Okay.
going to tell you right now, I built my own computer, Windows. That's what I was using for streaming. The one I built, that came up to right now about $2,500 US.
2,500.
And that's what I would use to stream. So for
Wow.
anyone that's
It's
looking
almost the
for a
same
Windows
price as the
computer,
Mac,
yeah.
right?
Well, you could get a Mac for $600
Oh, yeah, the base one, right? Yeah, sorry.
because the base one, right now, my base M1 Mac is what I use for streaming. I don't even use the Windows PC anymore. And it's not just because of Ecamm, it's because until I actually purchased a graphics card that added another $400-$500 to that build, it wasn't doing it. It was having some issues here and there. So the one I built is an i7 9700K. The K makes a difference. 32 gigs of RAM, NVMe storage, and now it has an NVIDIA graphics card. So I don't expect people to build computers,
Mm-hmm.
but what you're going to probably want to look for is for it to say it's built for gaming. So Windows computer, keyword, gaming desktop or gaming laptop. Because they're
Okay.
built to perform.
Okay. Because sometimes, there are lots of, especially in my country, Victor, where every now and then they have this sale for computers or laptops. But then when you look at the specs, it's probably enough for you to be able to do like Zoom classes or Zoom meetings. And people say, wow, only, 10,000. So what is 10,000? About uh mga 500, no, around $250 more or less,
Oh,
right?
yeah. That I would use for checking my email, and that's it.
Exactly. And
I
I
wouldn't
think
even
that's basically
use
the
it for that.
purpose really for that one. But since it's cheap, so people buy it, and since they think it's a computer or it's a
Right.
laptop, then equals computer, laptop equals I can live stream, I can edit videos. Okay, so the fact is it's not that. Okay, so
No.
what we need, as Victor is saying, if you want to make your computer, your laptop, or desktop for live streaming and for video editing. All right. So whether you be a live streamer or you want to create edited video, so the minimum or the base model for a Mac, Victor said iMac, Mac Mini, or
Any
the one with the
any
M1, M2.
any M1, M2, and to answer the question I just saw in the chat,
Yeah,
I
Sammy.
will never recommend a MacBook Air
Mhm.
for streaming. Now, let me clarify this. It does
Okay.
not mean that you cannot stream with a MacBook Air. It's just that I wouldn't recommend it. And what I mean by this is if I'm going to recommend a computer is because I want to recommend something that you could use that should be able to do more than 80 to 90% of what anyone would want to do. So if you were to take right now everything that Lala's doing on a MacBook Air, that MacBook Air most likely is going to start overheating because they don't have fans. The way they cool off is they throttle back their processing and everything. That means things are going to start chopping up. Things are going to start getting laggy. And again, I can stream with my phone, but am I going to stream very well with graphics and all this stuff? No. MacBook Air, will it stream? Yes. Will it stream for everything everyone wants to do? No. Because as soon as you add Ecamm and graphics and all this other stuff, it's going to start pushing it too much. I guarantee you get a MacBook Air, Lala, you won't be able to stream. Not with everything you do.
With
Not
what
with
I
everything
do.
you do.
All right. Thank you, Victor. And we have Wit in the house. Hello, Wit, Prophet of You Demand. Okay, that's his YouTube channel. Hi, Wit. Wit says Vimix, guys. Okay, because Wit uses Vimix. Okay, he's a
Right. That's
Windows
PC.
guy.
Yeah.
Okay, PC.
Yeah.
Guy sent me their recommended specs. Then I had it built, and he is loving it. All right, there you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah. And that's the thing. If you really want a good machine, PC,
Mm-hmm.
you're either going to have it custom built, like Wit did, build it yourself, like I did. That way, when you realize it's not working, you can swap parts out and put more parts in, like I did. Or you're going to go straight for, doesn't have to be high-end gaming computer, but don't get a low-end gaming computer. Try to get a mid-area gaming computer. And one of the things you want to look for is, as far as the processor, i7. As far as the generation,
Mm-hmm.
at this point in time, I'm going to say 11th, 12th, 13th gen, because the 13th generation just came out recently, I believe. I wouldn't get, like mine is an i7 9th generation, but to buy that now, you're kind of pushing it, because the lifespan of a computer, especially for business or streaming, people think is going to be 10 years. No. I'm going to say most businesses 2 to 5 years. So you have to have that mentality. And I hate to say this, but you have to have that mentality where you're going to want a computer that's going to last you at least 5 years. If you're going to put so much money into that computer because you think it's going to last you 10, 15 years, don't do it. Because technology is changing so quickly that within a year or two, you're going to need something probably a little stronger, a little faster. So I wouldn't, like me personally, I wouldn't buy like a maxed out Mac Studio that's probably like $5,000-$6,000. I'll get the base model Mac Studio. Why? Because I already have that mentality that after 5 years, I'm probably going to replace it.
Great. Because maybe even if the specs for that specific computer is, top of the line, but then other technologies of different apps or peripherals may actually also change, so eventually it may not match, or it may, but you need to do a lot of tweaking or something. And Victor, we have Florence. Hi Florence, thanks for dropping by, my dear, of Equip Institute. All right, so if you are in business, okay, head on to Equip Institute's channel. Okay, Florence goes live every Friday, not Friday. I often say it's Thursday 6. No, hold on. I'm getting that. Okay, so we let me check this. I am calculating. Okay, let me check. So we meet, right? Okay, it's Saturday. Now I got this correct now. It's Saturday 6 a.m. Philippine time. There you go. I'm sure of that now because I often miss it. There you go. Hello, Equip Institute Florence. Okay, next question, Victor. So we now know more or less what we should buy in terms of the specifications, right? So I think, did we talk about like the memory? How much storage should I actually buy or I add on to my computer?
Here's where a lot of people are going to say different. This is what I recommend. When it comes to like the Mac, M1, M2, once you buy storage, you can't upgrade the storage on the Mac itself, but you could use external storage. And to me, I really, really 100% feel people need to understand, don't keep everything on your computer. So when I say you could deal with the base model, I'd rather spend the extra few $100s getting more RAM than storage. I have the minimum. I have 256 gigs of storage on my M1, but yet any videos I do, and this is the trick, any videos you do, You do your stream, you grab your recordings, you do your editing. Once you're done with that video and it's just storage, take it off your computer. So many people are like, oh, I need a terabyte. I need 2 terabytes of storage. 2 terabytes of storage is probably going to add like $500 to the price of that computer, when you could get a external hard drive with 4, 5, 8 terabytes and just plug it into your computer for the same price or even less. And then all you have to do is, when you're done with your videos, you already edit it. It's storage. You're not going to need it on your computer anymore. Move it. That's what I do. I have a 1 terabyte external storage connected to my MacBook, and then my network. I have a network attached storage, a NAS with 4 terabytes. That thing could go up to 64 terabytes if I build it out.
My goodness.
I take my videos when I'm done with them and I move them to the 1 terabyte storage. Once I feel that I want to clean the 1 terabyte storage out, I move that to my network attached storage.
Okay. So guys,
That's
you don't
like
need the
archiving
network
it.
attached storage, okay? But okay, now you know that you can actually do that, right? Okay. So
Yeah,
or
don't
probably
keep the
have
stuff on your hard drive.
yeah, so I actually learned that from Victor. So earlier on when I was live streaming, just to share what happened to me, right, Victor? So maybe every 2 to 3 live streams. So after 2 to 3 live streams, in the middle of my live stream, something would pop out. You don't have enough storage to record the video. So Ecamm would stop recording because I ran out of video. So after that show, I have to delete or transfer. And then Victor helped me. So Lala, you can actually automatically, send that recording over onto your external hard drive. Oh, I didn't know. So now I never have that issue anymore. So Victor is saying that spend more on the RAM, okay, rather than the storage. Victor, for those who may, we're creatives, we don't even know what RAM is. RAM is an animal that we know of. So what is a RAM, and why do we need more of this rather than storage?
Okay, so RAM actually stands for random access memory. The thing to think about with RAM is your computer needs it to help it move things around, to process things. So the most important, in my opinion, the most important components of your computer is going to be your processor, your RAM, your graphics, and then a little bit further in the bottom is your storage, because you do need storage. Don't get me wrong. You do need storage, but 256, 500, it's good enough. They come in the base models. Like right now, if you feel you need a more powerful Mac and you get something like a Mac Studio, the base model Mac Studio comes with 500 gigs of storage. It comes with 32 gigs of RAM. So the base model is already spec'd very nicely. But if you're going to spend additional money, you're, in my opinion, because with the M1 and the M2, once you buy it, there's no changing it. There's no way you could get around it. I would spend more money if I have it on a higher CPU if they offer it, because the base model is one model. If you get like the next one, the CPU is a little more powerful. You could get a little bit more RAM. 16 gigs is better than 8. Remember, more is always better when it comes to specs.
Okay.
So if you want to spend, let's say you have an extra $200 and you have a choice to either go to 500 gigs of storage or to go to 16 gigs of RAM, I'm going to go for the RAM because I could always deal with the storage.
Got it. All right. So guys, we're still doing beginner questions. All right. So another beginner question. Okay, Victor, is what are Okay, so we're done with the usual specs, right? So now we go to peripherals. Okay, so as a content creator, wants a creative, wants to go into content creation. So what are essential peripherals such as microphones or cameras that beginners should consider for better audio and video quality?
Well, this question's interesting because it also interacts with the computer you want to get. Because a lot of people base their computer on ports. Well, how many ports does a computer have? Well, I'm going to need more ports. So I'm not going to buy this computer. I'm going to buy that computer. And I think a lot of people don't understand, especially when it comes to Mac and the Thunderbolts ports, how they actually work. And a perfect example is like with the MacBook Pro, the 13-inch.
Mm-hmm.
The model I have only has 2 ports, but they're 2 Thunderbolt ports. So someone might look at this MacBook that I have and be like, well, how am I supposed to connect a camera, a microphone, a stream deck, all these things to this laptop? It only has 2 ports. Well, that's when you run into situations where you're going to have to get adapters, which this one is a Thunderbolt, keyword, Thunderbolt adapter, not a USB-C or anything else. It's a Thunderbolt adapter for you to connect these extra devices. And it depends. It depends on what you're trying to achieve, because you know me, I like my Mevo cameras. I have 3 Mevo cameras. Not one of them physically connects to your computer. So you're going to want a camera. Yes, you could start with the built-in camera. Yes, you could use maybe your phone as a second camera, but at some point you're going to want to think external cameras. There are so many between web cameras and lower end cameras to mirrorless cameras. The thing to take in consideration is whether it's the built-in camera or anything, you need a camera, you need a microphone.
Okay.
You need speakers of some kind. Those 3 things are going to be critical. You're going to want, at some point, lighting that you could control.
Oh yeah, lighting.
But lighting doesn't connect to your computer. So lighting technically doesn't connect to your computer.
Okay.
But when you're shopping for a computer, you got to take this in consideration, because some people will see a computer and they're like, well, it doesn't have enough ports. There's peripherals that you buy. There's docking stations and stuff like that that you would need to buy to add more devices. So you always have to be aware of that. If you're going to do multiple cameras, microphone like me and Lala have, how are you going to connect that? You have to plan this out. If you need to have something like 2, 3, 4, 5 microphones because you're doing, I already forgot what they call them, and you're going to have 5 people in one room, and you're doing, I can't think of the word.
Like what they do. Sometimes I have my crafty friends alongside me and we are in the same room.
Yes.
Side by side each other, right?
Yes. So you need something like a mixer. We have the Rode, I have the Rode Dual now. It's nice and pretty. I think you have the Rode Rodecaster Pro 1.
Yes.
Yeah. So with a device like this, it uses one connection to your computer, but it allows you to add multiple microphones. So you have to kind of take that in consideration. Perfect example, the A10 Mini. I could put up to 4 devices with an HDMI connection to an A10 Mini, but then it's only a single cable to the computer. So it's not just the computer. We're talking about computers, but it's not just the computer that you got to take in consideration. It's the entire production and how everything's going to connect. So docking stations are going to most likely, you're going to have to get one no matter what.
Yes.
Because you're going to have your keyboard, your mouse, your microphone.
Yes, but I think one suggestion that I can give, being a beginner, of course, when I started, my mentality or my thinking, Victor, that back then was, I need to get whatever is the best. Thinking that having the best will actually make my life easier. But no, knowing how to use what you have bought, all right, or what actually you need to think of, as Victor was saying, what is your use cost? What are you gonna be using it for? Is it gonna be just you yourself, editing a video or going live by yourself only? You're not gonna be bringing in guests, so it's more like a podcast, video podcast of some sort, and then some edited
Podcast.
video. All right. So that is, so it's a little bit different in terms of what are your, basic things that you need. So again, look at what you are planning to do as a content creator. Okay. Think about those things first before buying anything, and then seek professional advice. It really, really helps, because sometimes we feel like, oh, I saw on YouTube they said this is a nice microphone, or this is a nice model, but then again, we don't really know how everything would work together, right? So make sure that you actually research. If you cannot really understand, just like me before, you can always seek out, creators just like Victor of Basicnas. Okay, so he can easily be reached from his socials. Of course, his YouTube channel, it's Basicnas. On Facebook, the same thing. And best is to really go to his website. It's basicnas.com. Okay, and then you can, send him a message over there. All right. And then probably some of the things that you actually would want to know are already on his channel. Okay, so again, it doesn't hurt to ask, right? It's better to ask than, have that. I even bought, for the life of me, I even bought this, like at that time, the top of the line Wacom tablet for, coloring, and so I don't even draw. So that's like, what if? What if? Right? So all of those, I'm sharing this so that you won't, have that wrong experience, a very costly, experience. If you actually will use it for your segment or your show, why not? But if it's something that you think you might use in the very near future, I highly suggest that you don't do so. Okay. So next question, let's jump in a little bit on the intermediate. Intermediate. Are we for okay? Next is okay, hold on. Intermediate. Okay. What are the advantages, Victor, of investing in a higher end CPU or GPU for intermediate creators? Meaning, when we say intermediate creators, these are creators, maybe you are, creating, let's say, edited videos more than once a week, right? So pretty often, you probably also do live streams, right? Bring in guests and stuff like that. Okay.
Yeah, well, here's my opinion. When it comes to Mac users, as long as you're utilizing an M1 or M2, that's really not that big of a thing, unless you're really, really doing advanced things. And I think one of the other things to take in consideration is some people say you should have a dedicated streaming computer. So if you're basing your computer needs only on streaming, again, Mac base models, you should be perfectly fine. If you want to spend a little bit more, upgrade the RAM. If you have a little bit more, upgrade the CPU. More is always going to be better. But don't think of it as, well, I need it to last 10 years. Let me do this for it can last me 10 years. In 5 years, even with the higher CPU and RAM and everything, your computer is probably going to have problems because technology is always advancing. So as far as the benefit of a higher CPU, more RAM and things like that, is your computer is going to be better. I mean, it's going to use less resources because it has higher specs. You're not going to run into some issues that you may run into, depending if you're doing higher end things like, a lot of graphics and all that stuff. But is it really that critical when it comes to the Macs, especially the M1 and M2? Not for streaming. But here's the thing. As much as people say get a dedicated computer for streaming, I know it's not going to be a thing everyone could do. Even myself. I started with the Mac. Just to be honest with you, the only reason I bought my Mac Mini was to test Ecamm. Now I use it for everything. So when I'm working, when I'm watching YouTube, when I'm doing anything, not just streaming, I'm most likely on my Mac. I have 5 or 6 other computers. I'm always on my Mac Mini. So dedicated computer, no.
Mm-mm.
But here's the thing. If you're a video editor, if you're a photographer and you do all this other stuff, then you're probably going to want to take that base model and add to it. But if you're going to add anything, again, upgrade the CPU, upgrade the RAM. I'm never going to prioritize storage because you should be using external storage anyways.
Okay. That's it. So, again, what happened to, hold on. All right, there you go. See? I left for a while just to get something and then my light moved. Okay, there you go. Okay. It's like, ooh, okay. Now somebody is here with me. Okay, so by the way, Florence said it's 6:30, not 6 o'clock. Okay, so it's 6:30 a.m. Saturday morning for us. There you go. So Sammy said, thinking of mom's original streaming setup makes me nostalgic. Oh my goodness, guys. If you would look at my very first, probably my first 50 live streams, you would see that it was really, really bad. Okay. Because as Victor was saying a while ago, if you want to do many things, like, I want to do all these things, but I was doing it on a computer that couldn't handle it. Right? So like 15 minutes onto my live stream, my MacBook Pro, which didn't have the M1 chip yet, it had the Intel one, would start, the fans would start running. It became very, very loud. And then eventually it would stop my stream halfway through because it would heat up so much. And I didn't know that. I thought that, a computer is a computer. Okay. And here is, an application and I want to use this one and I'll use it. Right. So only to find out eventually that, of course, your what you need to do has to has to be coordinated with what you want, with the strength or with the power of your computer. So eventually, I realized that I had to retire my MacBook Pro and move on to a Mac Mini. Okay, if I really wanted to, if I wanted to do live streaming, right? So,
and I like that you mentioned this because a lot of people think of this in a different way. They hear their fan going off, and instead of thinking, oh my God, something's wrong with the computer, there's an issue, all they're thinking is, oh my God, that fan is so loud, it's messing up my audio in my show. So next thing you know, what do they say? Oh, I should get a MacBook Air because there's no fan, so the fan's not going to mess up my audio in my show. There's a reason the fan is there. It's trying to cool off your computer. If you're currently running a computer and you're streaming with it and your fan is constantly coming on and it's staying on and it's getting real loud, that is telling you your computer is getting hot. Why is your computer getting hot? Because it's working very hard.
mm-hmm.
Getting a MacBook Air because you don't want to hear your fan, there's no logic to a person like me, because that just means that what you're doing is too much for your current computer. So you get a computer that has no fan. So it's not going to let you know it's having problems.
Victor, for
it's just
beginners,
mess
should
up
be
your stream.
surprised what we can think of. What we thought, our computers can actually do. All right, say hello, Miss
Yeah.
Mary. Mega love shout out po. Salamat po sa pag-drop by. Hello to us daw. Hello to us from Miss Mary Victor. There you go. And a question from Sammy, a little off topic, but which computers would you recommend for graphic designers? Okay, my daughter, okay, is very much, and what do you call, is it an ad hoc graphic designer? She's really, not trained, but she loves, creating her own graphics, and now hopefully in the future start her own sticker, company. So what do you think of this one, Victor?
This is where the first thing you're going to want to do is research the software. So let's say you're going to get into graphic designing, and I don't do graphics, I don't do video editing, but let's say you're going to get into graphics designing. You want to know what software you're going to use. Then you have to look at the minimum requirements for that software.
Makes sense, yeah.
And if it's Windows only, Mac only, or if it's both. And this is where it gets tricky now with the new Macs. So let's say it says that you need a minimum of 8 gigs of RAM for that program. That's what they recommend. You take the recommendation and you double it. But this is for Intel, because the M1, M2 broke all the rules that we all used to know when it came to IT and speccing out computers. So if you're using a Windows computer and your software recommends, let's say, 8 gigs of RAM, you're going to want 16 at a minimum. If it recommends a graphics card, then you want to research that graphics card and make sure what you get is better. So if they say you got to have like a 2 gig of RAM on your graphics card, you're going to want 4 or 8. So you're always going to want more than what they recommend. And I think this is where a lot of things get confusing, because people look at the minimum recommendations and then they buy the actual minimum recommendations. And then when they run into problems, like, well, how come I'm having problems? Well, that's the minimum recommendations just for the one software. I guarantee you're running more processes, more software. You're running browser tabs and all this other stuff. So you want a computer that's going to be higher than minimum. Now, when you're going Mac, to me, any question anyone asks about a Mac, my answer is pretty much going to be more or less base model M1, M2. Now, if you feel what you're going to do is really intensive, that's where I might start looking at the base model Mac Studio. I cannot see anyone that is not an actual professional high-end videographer, photographer needing anything more than a Mac Studio base model. Now, that here in the US would run you about $2,000. But when you're talking about that processor, 32 gigs of RAM, 500 gigs storage, if you don't want to take the chance, you get a Mac Studio.
Victor, hold that.
I know you're
thought.
looking like, hey, wait, this is
Because
my daughter. This is
that
me. I'm buying a Mac
question
Studio.
was asked because my daughter, Sammy Pai, wanted me to hear what your recommendation was. And that's
But
very
here's the trick,
expensive.
Lala. But here's the trick, Lala. I got your back. This is what you do, Lala.
Okay,
You buy a
what?
Mac Studio. You keep the Mac Studio, and you give her your M1 Mac Mini. There you go. See?
How's that, sweetheart? Okay, my daughter.
You
Okay.
can tell I don't have kids because they would kill me.
No, actually, nowadays it's the opposite, Victor. It's like I get to have their hand-me-downs. Like, you know my iPad Pro? It's a hand-me-down. She has the newer iPad Pro and I have the old one, right? Because she uses it for school and I don't really. So,
Right.
but when it comes to the Mac Studio, anak, that's a different thing. Okay,
Right.
That's a different thing.
Now, let's say, for example, and this is the only reason my go-to is the Mac Studio for Mac users. if you go with a Mac Mini, think about this logically. You go with a Mac Mini, you're going to want to probably upgrade the processor. You're probably going to want to go to at least 16 gigs of RAM. Once you do those two things, now that computer just went from $700 to $1,1500 probably with you trying to, add more power to it.
Mm-hmm.
Once you get to about 1700, I would rather go to the Mac Studio, because now again, the base model Mac Studio has a way more powerful processor. It has 32 gigs of RAM. So what I would recommend someone to do is go to the Apple website, pick the MacBook Mini, the Mac Mini, and see what happens to that price as soon as you try to go to 32 gigs of RAM, 500 gig hard drive.
Okay, so now we're
You
trying
can't
to
even
justify.
get the same processor.
Okay,
So to me, well, think about it. To me, if I'm already going to spend let's say close to $1,700 on this thing, because I'm trying to make it stronger.
Yeah, that's true.
But then another $300, I actually get a base model Mac Studio that is still twice as powerful as that 1700 one. I'm just going to go straight for the Studio. I keep telling myself I don't want it. I don't need it. I'm telling you.
So when are you going to hop on?
Okay,
No. You're not spending anything for now, Victor, because you are going to the Philippines.
Yes. And I already applied for the passport. I'm just waiting for it. So.
Okay, Intel's balloon celebration. Woohoo! Okay, Victor is going to have his passport pretty soon, because he will be in the Philippines in a few months. Okay, so of course with transferred. Okay, this is better with. Okay, so we can see your YouTube channel as well. Okay, so this is with Prophet a while ago. He was in the chat. Okay, his channel is this one, Hugh Demand. Actually, he is into sports. So if you guys are into sports, your hobbies, your kids are into sport, he does like almost daily updates on the world of sports. Specifically, what is that thing that with does Gosh, I forgot what you call it. What's the name of the sport that you really, really like? Okay, do you
Baseball,
remember, Victor?
football, soccer.
No. Okay, we'll wait for it. I forgot what it's called. Okay, but I love hearing him do the what do you call this? The commentary.
Commentary.
Yes, that's what I love about, with show. Although I'm not really into that kind of sport, but I'm learning so much, especially more. So if you are actually into that kind of sport, so check out with Prophet's channel, You Demand. Okay, there you go. Okay, so he switched over to YouTube. Miss Mary, hello again. Okay, and this is Charlene, Inebriated Musings. Okay, of course, Charlene, Crafterny Charlene is my partner in crime here on Crafty Nights normally. Okay, but since today it's Tech Day, so it's rest day. So Charlene is actually watching from home. Wow, ma'am, buy me Mac. Oo nga, kakaloka. Nagparinig, di ba sis? Thank you for validating me, Victor. So, you guys have this planned? No, just kidding. Hi, Tita Shirley, nagpaninig. That's actually the way it should be. So, the way it should be is the moms get the hand-me-downs.
No. Hey, you know what? That's just the difference in the culture, because in the US it's the other way around. Kids get the hand-me-down.
Okay, there you go. Yay, see you soon, Victor, said Sammy. And finally, hockey and baseball too now.
Hockey.
Oh, and sometimes also NASCAR. When there's
my God.
It's in NASCAR racing.
Speaking of NASCAR, I don't. This just shows you I don't pay attention to news and stuff in my own area. They're blocking off multiple streets in Chicago. They're blocking off multiple streets in Chicago and everything, because they're actually supposed to have some type of NASCAR racing in the street.
When?
If it didn't happen already, it's going to be the next couple of weeks or something like that. I'm like, why are you going to NASCAR race in our streets?
There, you can probably collaborate
that's
with
normal
Wit.
driving.
Victor, collaborate with Wit and probably, bring that onto your show or bring that to, Wit's show. Right? You guys
I'll
can
have to look.
collaborate.
I'll have to look if it didn't happen already. But I have people like that work with me that live in the city, and they're mad because they already started blocking off streets where you can't go on this street or this street because they're getting it ready for some
Yes,
kind of NASCAR race in like downtown Chicago. I'm like, what? No.
Well, that happens. All right, and yes, my daughter actually loves baseball. So I thought sometimes she's studying. When I try look, she's actually watching baseball. All right, and of course, yes, NASCAR. I remember that during NASCAR season, Wit also shows that on his show. Okay, so again, anything sports. Okay, he does moderate also, on top of showing you the scores, and he also knows the people in most of this sport. So it's really nice to watch. You Demands a channel. And AD Manalang. Hello, Sir AD. Good evening, everyone. Tamang-tama, sir. Kasi may message na kita for next week. Yes, AD Manalang po. Our of course, from representative from Kara Crafts. Okay, one of our dear partner stores. Salamat, Sir AD, sa pagdaan po. Of course, AD Manalang, Victor, is actually, of course, he's part of Kara Crafts, but he's a gamer. And he has a pretty good gaming computer. I'm sure.
There you
of
go.
it.
So he
Yes.
doesn't need to know what computer to use for streaming. He's
Yes,
got a
he
gaming
actually
computer.
really knows. There we go. And everybody saying hi to Sir 80. That's free content, Victor. But remember, okay,
That
my
means
son
I gotta
plays
be
baseball.
in Chicago, which is like no. And I have to be in the heat, which is no.
Yankees fan. Okay, Charlene said, we even went to a game in the Yankees studio. Yes, I remember. Okay, Charlene's son, okay, is actually really, is it Eric? Yes, I think it's Eric, right? Her eldest. Tomorrow at 5:30, Chicago Street Course. There you go. Tomorrow for
See,
you.
I knew it was soon. Tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll be hiding in my house.
Why don't you show
Well,
that?
well, like I said, that's Chicago. So that just from
How do
where
you
I
say
live,
Chicago? We say it Chicago. But what is the right pronunciation? Chicago?
there is no right pronunciation.
Okay. I thought maybe I was saying it wrong.
No. It's
Okay.
just either accents from people around the U.S. or other countries, or it might be a little
That's fine.
Latino for me, but Chicago. Chicago is how I say it. But here's the thing. Just for me to get to the city,
Mhm.
if there's no traffic, is about an hour and a half. So I would
Okay.
have to drive an hour and a half just to get to the city if there's no
Okay.
traffic. And it's going to be a madhouse.
Now everything's probably blocked, so you need reroute.
It's going to be a
stuff.
madhouse, yes. And what makes it even worse is it's almost the 4th of July. So as I'm driving to the city, there's probably people that's going to try to shoot me with fireworks and all this stuff because everyone is goofy in the U.S. around this time.
Oh
So they're
yes, a lot of
blowing a
people
bunch
are
of things
traveling. Are
up.
you traveling 4th of July or you just stay home?
No, I always hide in my house.
Victor. Okay, and of course we have Lilinix Games. This is the channel of Giga Art's daughter. Okay, Lilinix Games. Hello, Mommy Guide and Victor. This Lilinix Games channel was one of the first ones to actually blow up in our community. She started getting like millions of views, one after the other.
Wow.
Exactly. And that's because of her amazing mommy. Okay, Giga Art in the house. Hi, Lily. And hi, Sammy Pai. There you go. And they've never stopped. So they just continue to grow and grow and grow. So I'm very, very proud of Lilinix and Giga Art. So check their channel out. Everybody, guys, okay, if you see somebody new in the chat and you're not yet subscribed to them, consider subscribing if you like what you see on their channel, right? So Victor, going back to the computer. Okay, so now let's go to clincher mode. Okay, meaning advanced questions. So in case of people who are, if there are no more questions for, beginner, okay, who wants to buy computer, let's go for a little bit more advanced questions, okay? So how can advanced content creators optimize their computer's performance for resource intensive tasks like 4K video editing or high resolution live streaming? Like in my case, I only stream at 1080p. Okay, and sometimes only 30 FPS, not even 60 FPS because I'm afraid, right? So, but for those who really want to max out everything because they say it likes the videos like smooth like butter, something like that. That's how
Yeah.
they describe it. So, what would that entail in terms of the computer specifications? Or if ever you do have a specific computer already, but then you want to level up and do, this kinds of streaming on 4K and all of this high resolution stuff.
Yeah. So when you're going to do something more intensive like 4K and everything, again, Mac just makes this too easy. As long as it's an M1, M2, here's where I would change. Now I'm not going to say the base model. You're going to want to upgrade the RAM definitely. 16 at a minimum. Now, let's say, and I haven't looked at the specs very closely. Let's say you look at the MacBook, not the MacBook, the Mac Mini M2, I think it's called Pro. That one's a little more expensive. I think it's got a little bit more power in the CPU, but even the upgradability, I think it's higher. I think it might even go to like 32 gigs of RAM. You might want to start looking at a higher spec M1, M2, or no brainer for Mac, the Mac Studio. Here's where I'm going to say different than most people. A lot of the comments I see around social, they're looking at the Mac Studio, but instead of the base model, they're like, oh, I'm getting, the Ultra processor. I'm getting 64 gigs of RAM. I mean, they just made this Mac Studio somewhere between like $4,000, $5,000. I'm going to stick with the base model.
Okay. So
I just
again,
feel that base model is so powerful. There's no way you're not going to be able to do your 4K streaming, your 4K editing. If I'm not mistaken, there are people out there even testing multi-stream 8K editing on M2 processors.
and it's
So
possible
I'm going to say,
on the base.
yeah, I think it's possible, just not on base models.
Okay. So if you are currently like what I am currently on, okay, the Mac M1 base model, so it's not advisable for me to actually, do 4K live streams at the same time, edit 4K videos.
I want to say you might be able to get away with it, but with the fact that you do a lot of guest and all the graphics on top of that, because I think that's something that people need to understand. Right now on my Mac, I'm just coming in as a single camera. But when you bring in a camera and you're adding graphics and you're adding music, if you're adding animated graphics like you did with the balloons and all that stuff, that takes more processing while you're on that scene. So when you're switching scenes from one scene to another, depending on how much you have on that one scene, that's going to start taking up more resources. I actually took my Mac Mini, and I think I got a video on my channel where I took the Mac Mini, and when I showed the little icon on the Stream Deck for the CPU that we use a lot of the monitoring, it was 98, 99%.
Oh my.
I had like 16 cameras, I think, at the same time coming into the one scene. I think it was like 12 to 16 cameras. I think I even had Sammy come in. So I had like all this crazy, and I was hitting like 98, 99% of the CPU.
I brought in like 8 of you guys, and I hit 98, and that broke the stream, right?
Yeah. So Can you do it?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, as long as you're not doing, like, let's say with editing. I don't see why you wouldn't be able to edit 4K video, but you're probably not going to be able to edit like what, I don't even know what this means. I just hear people say it, like 4K multiple streams or 8K multiple streams. I don't even know what that means because I'm not a video editor. But an M1 will get you very far. But if you're going to be doing stuff that's really intensive, not just streaming, but video editing and everything, you might want to go with at least 16 gigs of RAM, if not a little bit more. If you got the money, just go straight to the studio. I mean, even right now with the M1 Studio, I would think the prices will start dropping because the M2s are out. You can still buy an M1. That's the trick, people. Listen to what I'm telling you. You don't have to buy an M2. I think right now, Lala, I saw an M1 base model going for like a little over 400 US.
Ooh, nice.
So you could still get an M1.
No way.
But yeah, I mean, you could save a couple $100
Where,
by getting
on
an
Amazon?
M1.
Prime
I
Day?
was on Amazon. I think it was on Amazon, and it was actually like the Apple store from Amazon. So like the Apple store,
the official
actually
store on
has,
Amazon.
Yeah. And I
Okay,
think it was
I
like
might put that on
refurbished, but
my
it's like
cart.
4 something.
For Prime Day. I'm going to go live for Amazon Prime Day, guys. Watch for it. Of course, I have my recommendations for Amazon Prime Day. And of course, we have Manong B. Hello, Manong B. Salamat po sa pagdaan. Thanks for dropping by, Manong B. Manong B, okay, Victor, okay, is a Filipino coach content creator. Okay, I'm actually part of his community as well. Thanks for dropping by, Manong B. Sis Lala, I can edit 4K vids with M1. There you go. You know, Gigi is a video editor. Okay, not video editor. What do you call? I forgot. Graphic designer.
Videographer?
No, not just
Videographer.
Could be, yes. So she can do all. Okay, actually,
Right.
So my brain is so foggy right now. I don't.
And here's
I can't
the
remember.
thing. Yeah, and here's the thing to take in consideration. And I think this is where a lot of confusion comes in. It's not that the M1 cannot do it. It's just that, let's say myself, I'm in IT. I'm not a videographer, photographer, this kind of thing. But let's say it's my hobby. I take 4K video. I want to edit it and all this stuff. It's going to be fine. Here's where it's a different story. If it's your profession, if my job was video editing and I charge by the hour, it's going to be in my best interest to have a more powerful machine, because if you take the M1 and then you take the a Mac Mini, and let's say you take the Mac Studio, both base model, they could both probably handle 4K editing and rendering and all that stuff. But the Mac Studio is going to do it in probably like 1/10 of the time. Your time is your money. So do you use this computer that would, let's say, take 10 minutes to edit the video, like to actually process it? Or this one that's going to take 2 minutes? And I'm exaggerating with the time, but I'm just saying, depending on how much that video is, how much content it is, once you start telling it to actually like process it and save it, the Mac Studio is going to do it way faster than the M1 base model. And when it's your business, time is money.
Yeah.
So for someone that's a professional, this is their business, not just us with like a little hobby or something like that, you're going to want a more powerful computer to do it faster without any kind of like issue. And like you said earlier, Lala, everyone uses the term, I want it to be smooth. You're going to need a more powerful computer. Yeah.
There you go. Okay, so let's just read some of the comments in the chat. Okay, Florence of the Equip Institute is saying, the Studio is a dope machine. Yes, I think Fulgence actually bought one just recently. Yes, and I saw that, video. Happy for you, Fulgence. Okay, and Manong, Giga Art is saying hi to Manong B. And of course, we have KM. Hi, KM. Good evening. Hi, Victor and Miss Lala and everyone. Okay, Giga Art. Okay, Gigi says she actually can run Photoshop, Premiere, that's Adobe Premiere, and Illustrator at the same time. M1 can do it. Okay, so
Yeah.
I'm glad that I actually can do it. Okay, now I just have to actually do it. Totally agree, Victor. Yes, Victor, time is the most expensive resource we have. Exactly. So if you actually want to, streamline the way you do things, productivity stuff for those who are actually working and in business, absolutely head on to Florence's channel, Equip Institute, because she talks about productivity in her channel, among other things. There you go. Gigi, yes, this is Florence. Yes, she's saying hi to you, Florence. Okay, and of course, KM. Hi, Miss G and Sammy. Okay, so after the question on 4K, what is the next advanced question? Okay, so what are the benefits, Victor, okay, of building a custom PC, okay, tailored specifically for content creation, just like what Whit Prophet did, right? He said he
Right.
uses Vimix, not Ecamm. So he asked the experts of Vimix for recommendations, and now he's super happy, okay, about the PC that he bought. Okay, so now benefit, okay, between something that you build from scratch, putting all the specifications that you want, as against or compared to, there's a fly going around in front of me. Oh my goodness. He wants to be in the stream. Okay. What do you call this? As compared to purchasing the pre-built system.
Well, here's the thing. Even with pre-built, you have to take in consideration what most people think of as pre-built is like you walking into a big box store. I don't know what stores you have in the Philippines, but like here, Best Buy, Walmart, Costco, where you just literally walk in, grab it right off the shelf and pay for it. But there's also pre-built custom computers where you could go to a website of a company that does computer builds, and they'll have their like pre-built, this is what we're going to send you unless you want it customized. And then you could tell them, well, you know what, I want to upgrade this. But long story short, and I built my computer recently, not recently, but I built a computer. The benefit of building a computer or having a computer built is the customization. You could tell it what processor you want. Based on that processor, you'll have an option of what motherboard. But I mean, you're getting into some details here now, because you could customize the processor, the motherboard, the cooling system. One of these days, I'm just gonna have to put a camera in my computer and walk through some of the parts and everything
Why
we
not?
did on
That
this
would be
thing.
great.
I mean, I not only did I pick the motherboard, I picked the processor, I picked the cooler based on information that I researched from another YouTuber. I put the RAM, I put all this stuff together. And when it was done, and here's the key word, when it was done, I realized it needs to be better. And that's when I purchased a graphics, a capture card that actually goes in the computer from Elgato that would take 4 cameras.
Wow.
And as soon as I tried to use it on this computer, it was horrible. That's when I found out I needed a graphics card. And they were so expensive that by the time prices came down and I bought one, that was like another $400 or $500. Now I put the graphics card in there. Right now, my Windows computer, as far as I'm concerned, is perfect for streaming because it actually has an internal graphics card for up to 4 cameras individually viewed. You know how everyone's like the A10 mini, you could do 4 cameras, but it's only one option in Ecamm. Well, it's a Windows computer, so I can't use Ecamm. I could use OBS and maybe even vMix and stuff. But because I have an internal capture card, I could put up to 4 cameras and it sees them as individual cameras.
Okay, hold
Now-
on. This is on the Mac Mini. You added
No.
an internal.
This is Windows
Oh, Windows.
computers
Okay,
only.
got it.
And right now, I think they just announced a brand new Mac, and I don't know the name. I think it's the iMac. They just announced a M2 iMac that is customizable. Right now,
Whoa.
most of the Mac computers, you buy them, you're done. You cannot
Yeah.
customize them.
Mm-mm. True.
So I'm just talking strictly Windows
Okay.
based computers, because those you could build, you could customize rather than just walking into the store and buying them. Now, if you're talking Mac, unless I'm mistaken, I think they just announced that it's either coming very soon or they're working on it. And I think it was just announced like a month ago or something like that, maybe not even a month ago. The brand new
You saw me.
iMac, I think it's called iMac. But this thing is already probably like twice the price of a studio.
My goodness. I was like, what?
But you could customize it, and it's crazy powerful.
Mhm.
So I
So
mean,
maybe big companies or big production companies actually, yeah, they can they go with that, right? So KM has a comment here, Victor. I'm not familiar with Mac OS yet, but yes, recently, KM Heartmade, one of our very talented crafters and artists in the community, used to just do all her content from her iPad until recently. I think several months back. Okay, I think the latter part of last year. Okay, she got a very wonderful gift from her husband. Okay, and he got her an M2. Okay, for creating her videos. I don't know the pros and cons, but it's so fast. Yes, you're with a good, okay, computer. It's a
Yes.
MacBook Pro M2, I think. Yes.
Yes.
There you
Here's
go.
the biggest thing that I think is going to help people, hopefully help people. I always hear so much where people are like, well, I'm a Windows user. I don't know anything about Mac.
Mhm.
Here's the thing you need to know about Mac and Windows. And I want to say 80% of everybody on this planet. You use a web browser probably most of the time.
Mhm.
Google Chrome on a Windows machine and Google Chrome on a Mac machine are almost exactly the same. So for someone that says, I cannot use a Mac, I'm a Windows person, I don't know how to use a Mac, this is basically what I'm going to tell you. It depends on what you use. If you use editing software that works on Windows and on Mac, there's only a slight difference. So you should be able to do it no matter what type of computer it is, because what you need to understand is how to use the program, not 100% the computer. I don't know how to use a Mac. If you were to put me next to a Mac user that knows all this little shortcuts and magic and drag and drop and all this stuff, they'll look at me and like, how long have you had a Mac? I don't know, about 5-6 years. Well, you don't know how to use it, do you? No, because all I care about is the program that I'm utilizing, not so much how to deal with the computer 100%.
Yeah. So it's not like
If that makes sense.
what else can you? But I think probably like for artists or crafters, especially the artists, like the graphic artists, knowing the many things that you can actually do. Okay, in terms of what programs you can add on to your Mac Mini or your M1 or M2, okay, or your studio if you have it, right, would be amazing, right? And Victor, we have Mateo in the chat. Hi, Bracket Reviews. Hi, everyone. Okay, he was here the last time you were here as well, Victor. And he said that one of his comments was there was actually one thing that he said he didn't know yet about, that time you talked about networks, I think. Was it about networks? Something like that, right?
I think the last one we did was about networks, yeah.
Yes. And Mateo, Bracket Reviews, okay, from the channel name itself, okay, he actually does reviews of different tech stuff, right? So if you are very much interested in, unboxing and then, doing like what are the, behind the scenes of all this tech stuff that you actually sometimes see, head on to his channel and check him out. He's actually a very big channel. So hard to actually get a, what do you call this, a schedule to have him as a guest, but we will be having him soon. Okay, only when his schedule eases up a bit. Thank you so much for dropping by, Amateo. And if you have questions for Victor, just go ahead. Okay, not for me because I don't know the answers. I'm just here to ask the questions.
The easy answer, Mac M1, M2. That's pretty much everything I've been saying. It's for Mac
Okay,
users,
yeah.
for
So
Mac users.
Gigi, Gigi. It's not Gigi. It's Gigi. Pinoy na Pinoy. Gigi. Gigi, okay, of Giga Art. Okay, he's saying, ipon din ako for M2 Miss KM. Baka MacBook Air. Oh, naku, G! Okay, how's this? Okay, Gigi plans to buy an M2, but the Air.
I wouldn't.
Oh,
I
G,
mean, I'm sorry. I wouldn't. I wouldn't. I would not buy
especially
a computer that
Gigi
does not
is
have
a
fan.
graphic designer.
If the computer does not have a fan, it's already off my list. It doesn't matter how powerful that computer might be. The fact that it does not have active cooling, it's already off my list.
So
There's
what
no
can
way.
you suggest for Gigi instead? M2 MacBook Pro or M2 Mac Mini?
If it needs to be a laptop, I would go with the Pro.
Mhm.
Either the 13-inch, 14-inch, 16-inch, whatever's going to work for them.
Mhm.
But a MacBook Air, other than
Even though it's an
giving it to,
M2?
even if it's an M2, it's not that it can't,
Mm-mm.
it's that it could have issues. And to me, especially in a professional sense, if you already know it could have an issue, why bother? There's this, I can't remember the guy's name, but there's this guy that says buy it right or buy it twice. And basically what he's trying to say is, if you buy something because you think it's going to work for you, not because you know it's going to work for you, chances are you're going to be frustrated, you're going to have issues, and then you're going to end up either sending it back and buying another one or something. But here's the thing. A MacBook Air without a fan is already known to have issues depending on what you're doing with it. So unless you're going to use it because you want to travel and check your emails, probably do a Zoom call, something very basic, fine. But if you're
Okay.
going to try to use that for streaming, multi-cameras, anything more intensive, it might work, but I don't like to use the word it might work. I know a MacBook Pro 13-inch will work. A MacBook Air, maybe. So
G,
if you're gonna
ayan, okay.
save what, $100, $200, to me, it's not worth it.
I think maybe she likes because MacBook Air is light. MacBook Pro is heavy.
Okay,
right?
I should have brought my other laptop for I could show you. So here's the thing. And this is the beautiful part when you're going to compare a streaming laptop between Mac and Windows.
Okay.
This is what I would use to stream. This is the MacBook Air. This is the MacBook Pro 13-inch.
Mhm.
This is what, maybe 3 pounds, give or take. If I want to use my Windows laptop for streaming, just the power brick, just the plug in the wall, weighs as much as this whole laptop. I think my Windows computer that I would use for streaming, my laptop, is 5 to 6 pounds.
Wow.
This is probably not even 3 pounds. So that's a huge difference. That's why I would rather use my MacBook Pro than my Windows gaming laptop for streaming. But when you're talking about the difference between this and an Air, yeah, the Air's lighter.
Yeah.
But
Okay, so actually, Victor, Gigi and I, we are both planning to hopefully upgrade soon. So we will really think about that, right? So I'll think about it, Victor. I'll do research. Yes, Gigi actually does amazing
Yeah.
research.
Yeah, the air, the whole thing,
Mhm.
and here's the thing: all computers at some point are going to get hot. The problem with the air is how it deals with dealing with the heat. So
Mhm.
passive cooling over active cooling, I just can't recommend that. So think about that. Even if you're outside, let's say you're outside at the beach or something like that, and you're trying to use the computer and you're doing things, that computer's getting hot not only from the processing, but probably from being outside.
Mhm. Cool, cool.
The fan
Right.
is going to turn on. Oh, wait,
Yeah.
it doesn't have a fan. So
Okay.
what does it do? It's going to lower the processing. It's going to
Mhm.
slow the computer down. And
Yeah.
if you're doing something like video editing or anything, it's going to interfere with that
So
because
Gigi
it's
is
trying to
saying it's
cool off.
only actually for writing reports and some light editing when I can't do it at home. So I think for that purpose, I think that would be
Oh, no. Yeah.
okay,
Yeah. If you're
right?
not going to
Yeah.
use it for Lala style streaming, because I'm telling you, you're not doing this on an air.
Mm-mm.
I'm sorry. But if you're going to do more basic task and it just makes it a lot more easy and convenient for you, yeah,
Mm-mm.
that's fine.
Mm-mm.
Now, does it mean that these could never stream? No, but you're going to have to add things to it.
Yeah, okay.
Just like I've
Okay.
mentioned
KM
earlier,
is
the
saying,
A10
"Oh no,
mini,
mine
you're
is a
going to add.
M2 Air. Hers is M2 Air." Okay, she recently got this. So again, guys, what Victor is saying is that an M2 Air, okay, again, it's still M2. It's still very very fast, right? And it
Yeah,
still
yeah,
can do all of the things that it's meant to do. Okay, M2 Air Pro. She has a MacBook. No, M2 Air pala. M2 Air
yeah.
MacBook Air na M2. Okay, it can do whatever it is, but again, as like Victor was saying, if you're going to do more, right, more stuff eventually, like doing live streams and then doing more editing stuff and all of those things, then it might be better if you went for the Mac Mini M2 or the MacBook Pro M2 or M1, right? But
Yeah,
then we're
yeah,
not
because
saying
it's
that you
not
cannot use it or it
right.
won't let you use it. It can. Okay. But then again, if eventually you think that you will be having more projects, you will be doing more things simultaneously, like you have this open, and then you also do this and that. So that will eat up more resources, more CPU, GPU. Oh wow! Am I
You're
talking
learning.
CPU,
You're
GPU
learning.
usage? So I'm learning from Victor, right? So from talking to him all the time. So eventually you might experience problem. That's why if you can, better if you would go for the again MacBook Pro M1 M2 or the Mac Mini. Again, it's not like do this, it's just a suggestion. You
Right,
still do what
right,
you have. I'm not using it heavily yet.
right.
Okay. And so I'm hopeful it'll last. Definitely KM, I've been a Mac user forever. I still have my again, I still have my iMac, the 2009 model, still alive. But of course, it cannot do many things anymore, just basically for browsing, right? But it's still alive. My MacBook Pro 2010 is still alive. My MacBook Pro 2013 is still alive. My MacBook Pro 2016 or 17 is still alive. So the Macs actually really, really, from experience, last a long time. So I'm pretty sure that your M2 Air would absolutely last you a long time. That is still
Oh,
sleeping.
definitely, definitely, definitely. Just keep in mind though,
Mm-mm.
the computer's probably gonna outlive the
Yeah,
operating system. And
there
that's
you
what a lot
go.
of people don't take in consideration. Operating the operating system, what actually is the Mac is running on.
Mm-mm.
Right now, my Macs are on Ventura. Once you get to a point where you could no longer upgrade to the newest like operating
Yes. So
system,
I have several
then
who
you got to
cannot do
be
that anymore. They can
yeah,
only
then you got to be
upgrade to a
careful.
certain
Yeah,
operating
because
system.
I think Macs only support the operating system for like so many years. Unlike Windows, an operating system normally has support and extended support up to like a total of 10 years. Once your operating system is no longer supported, it's no longer going to get updates. That's where a lot of people are concerned with keeping that computer around, because now it's a security risk.
Mm-mm.
So that, to me, the life of a computer should probably be based on either the type of work you do, which if it's your business and it's a lot of high-end work, about 5 years, give or take, or the life of the actual operating system, which once it's no longer supported, you probably, if anything, at least don't go online with it anymore.
Yeah, actually, I learned this from Victor because he said, Lala, why are you not updating your operating system? I have my reasons. And then Victor said, no way. You know that is very unsafe. Updates are there to protect you. So if you are not updating to the latest operating, of course not immediately, right, Victor? You said to
Right,
wait a little
right,
bit, maybe several
right.
months. Okay, and then when everything, all the bugs have been fixed, then you update. But definitely you have to update, especially the computer, the laptop, or whatever it is that you are actually using, let's say for online transactions, because if you are not, then the new patches or updates are there to protect our, for our safety. So I think that's a very good advice. So that's why now I update. Okay, and I realized that I have several computers who who cannot update already to the latest one, right? So now they're just basically for sometimes monitor, or sometimes just surfing, but do not go to what do you call this, links or channels, or what do you call that, places in the internet that you're not sure of. Okay, so
Yeah,
there.
yeah, you have to be careful when you click on
Yes.
things.
And then sobrang bilis ng M2, di mo naiisip na gawa na niya at KM. Okay, Giga Art. Okay, Gigi is saying that the M2 is super fast. That it's like you're still thinking and it's already done. That's how fast
Oh
it
yeah,
is. Okay, that's what Gigi
yeah.
says. Okay, I wish my brain cells were still alive. My daughter is saying. Any advice for caring for MacBooks? Okay, because you know what happened to my daughters? She has, I think, this is the second MacBook Pro, anak, right? She loves cleaning her keyboards, her keypads. So she keeps on removing them, the stuff. So now, two MacBook Pros have keyboard issues. Some have already been removed. We already asked. We went to the MacBook what do you call this, service station. It seems that now, because one of her computers, like 5 keys can no longer be attached, so it's pretty expensive. So I highly suggest you do not mess with your,
Yeah,
because there are
I've
really keyboards
never
where you can
removed
actually do
keys.
that, remove, change that, but not with
Yeah,
the Mac, sweetheart. That's my daughter.
and no, no. I don't
Okay.
even do it to the Windows computers. I don't remove keys. So
Okay.
like if you're trying to like clean around them or
Yeah,
something,
because she's very OC.
I would get like a can of spray, like spray air or something, and just
Mm-mm.
blow it out.
Mm-mm.
Just wipe it. And if you're gonna use like rags, you want to get the microfiber type rags, not just
Mm-mm.
regular rags. I mean, don't
Okay.
get me wrong. I wouldn't be surprised if I probably just went to the kitchen and grabbed a regular kitchen rag before and wiped down.
Okay, but any
But you really want
advice
to
for
use the
caring for the MacBooks, other than using what do you call that, the air, I forgot, my gosh, what we call that, there's the
clean my
can,
Mac. Don't say clean my Mac.
don't. All right. So in my case, anak, okay, my advice to my dear daughter is, do not mess with the physical
Don't
parts of
mess
your
with it. No,
computer.
no.
Just wipe it. That's
Other
fine.
than other than using a microfiber rag and wiping it down, I would not do anything. Now the screen, I might use like a spray that's designed for cleaning monitors,
Mhm.
but I wouldn't spray that like around the keyboards or anything like that. And then the biggest trick, don't eat around your computer. Don't drink around your computer.
Yeah, that's
I shouldn't
true.
talk because I'm over here with my coffee. But
Okay, but you know
don't
one
do
thing
as
that I
do.
can, suggest. Okay, I did this. It's like I think something. What MacBook Pro was this? I think this was my MacBook Pro way back in. Is it the 2010, 2010? I forgot which one of them. Okay, I had this MacBook Pro where the screen got dirty. Okay, it didn't have a screen protector, and then that thing, I couldn't remove it properly. So even with I even used whatever, and then so I decided to use the non-scratch pad you use for washing the dishes. So I was super proud. I said, "Look, it's gone! I did it!" And this is what happened, guys. When it dried up, oh my goodness, my screen was all scratched up. I ruined my LCD screen. So do not, okay, for those who I this was it's still alive. I had to just replace the LCD. It's expensive. So do not clean your LCD screen of your computer or your laptop with those things that you use, even though they say non-scratch. Okay, do not use those for your monitors or your LCD screens. Okay, Victor said just that microfiber thing or whatever it is that sometimes I use the one that says for glass or for screen, right? So there are certain materials that you can actually use for your screen. So use that. Okay, and Gigi said her iMac lasted 9 years, right? So it's still,
Okay.
my iMac now is 2009. So now is 2023. So how long is that? Still alive. But again, just cannot, it can still go live. I mean, it can still go
About
into the
13.
internet. How many years is that now?
It's about 13. About
13
13
years. Yeah, still
13,
alive. See,
yeah.
Macs are really very, what do you call this? Very sturdy. But then again, the thing is the updates, right? Eventually. Okay, Wit Prophet, you demand. Thanks, Lala Victor. Great show. Thank you so much, Wit, for staying and for dropping by. Okay. Hi, Miss Charlene from KM. I am. And sometimes, it doesn't really matter for us creatives, right? You may have the most expensive computer, the most amazing specifications, but if you're not really actually using it, which was the case for me for a very long time, so what's the use, right? So even though you have a base model, as long as you're using it like Gigi, she creates, when I was starting, Victor, I didn't know how to do, what do you call this? Thumbnails? Okay, so I asked Gigi, okay, Giga Art, to please help me with my thumbnails and for my son also. So she actually did, but now because she is really swamped at work, so she cannot do it anymore. But she does, thumbnails for friends as well, sometimes even as, just because she wants to help, okay, on top of her work, right? So she really is able to use her computer. Okay, so this KM Heartmade. So if you are using and you are able to use your computer for the work that you want it to be, then that is the best way, right, Victor? But Victor and I tonight actually wanted to show you, if you really want to buy, okay, a new computer, or if you have a current computer that you are using and then you're asking, why is it that I cannot do this, or why is it that I cannot do that? So hopefully all of those questions and more must have or might have been answered by Victor tonight. And for those who actually are beginners or who I shared a lot of boo-boos that I've done in the past, in terms of buying computer and taking care of computer. So I hope you learned on the what not to do from me, and the what to do from Victor. There you go. So Savvy says, guilty as charged. Literally had my computer open a while ago while drinking coffee. There you go. Sometimes I would go to my actual, table because my daughter, she loves moving around when she's working, right? So sometimes she works on my table, sometimes in her room, sometimes in the dining area, but she always eats. And then after I'll see ants. So she forgets to, bring the food, uneaten food back to the, because she's very busy. I do understand that, dear daughter, but I hope that you don't forget to clean up after. There you go. I use a silicone cover on top of my keyboard. It helps with the dust and any dirt. Yes, that's true also, KM. Okay, and Sami does that, and she has so many variations. She has a clear one, she has a colored one, she has so many. I don't know. She says it helps her with, she likes it, aesthetic, the aesthetic of it all. Yes. So guys, that's a great advice, by the way. Use a silicone cover on top of my keyboard from KM. Like, especially I have many times, accidentally spilled. It's a good thing it's just water, but on the side, so the cover actually really, really helps. Okay. So again, guys, so if you have any more questions, okay, please put them in the chat right now so we can ask Victor. Okay. So guys, Victor has been super helpful, not just to me, but to everybody in our communities, but in our community. So if you are not yet following or part of a Victor's community, I would highly suggest that you check out his socials on YouTube. Of course, it's Basic NAS or Basicnas, okay, and on Facebook he's also Basicnas, okay, and on if you have more questions, you can actually go to his website basicnas.com and you can ask away over there. Or if you really, let's say you have something that you really, let's say your company or your business, and you have more pressing questions or more tech questions, okay, then you can, Victor also does consultations, right? So just send him a message. But first and foremost, I hope that you do follow him on his YouTube, okay? He's just several, maybe 100 or so away from getting onto that 500 mark. Okay, so I hope that we can, bring Victor onto that. We know that's just vanity magic, but it's nice, right? I know. I'm checking, Victor. I think it's just 130 something, and you already got that 500 mark down pat, right?
It's something with the 8. So I think it's like 328 or 338.
Yes.
I can't remember right now.
So something like that. So barely 100 and something, guys, right? So if you know anyone, okay, who is into tech, okay, and loves talking about tech, then please refer them to Basic NAS. Okay, any more questions? I don't see any more on YouTube nor on Facebook. So I guess that means it's time for Victor and I to say goodbye for now. And we will see each other again on his birthday month in August. What do we have in store for you and in store for Victor? Watch out for that one because it's his birthday. All right. Again, thank you so much, everyone, for dropping by. And for those on replay, I hope that you find this live stream and this episode interesting. Okay. And of course, from Gigi, it's actually pretty late on her side of the world. Sis, maraming salamat. I know that you are very, very busy and truly appreciate you being here. Thanks, Victor. Appreciate the advice. Yes. And God bless everyone and have a blessed Sunday. With that, bye, Victor. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you so much for joining Victor and I for another Tech Night again next week for another set of Crafty Nights and of course conversation with Lala, this time around with Coach Suzanne. Bye!